Change, standby. Emergency. Dekaranger. What's going on, everybody? It's Blackwing 2040. Welcome to the first ever Super Sentai review that I'm doing here on the channel. If it isn't, then I probably messed up with that, but it is what it is. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Tokusou Sentai Dekaranger. It is the season that gave us Power Rangers SPD here in the United States, and the show aired in 2004. And it's also available to watch on Shout Factory DVD. So I definitely recommend you guys get your copy of the show so you guys can check it out for yourselves. And it's a wonderful, fantastic show. And this is my second time watching this show. And I gotta say, I had a great time, just rewatching this show. Because the first time I saw this was back in 2019. And SPD is one of my favorite Power Ranger seasons. So I figured, why not give the Sentai counterpart a try? And I had a great time with it. So let me give you the rundown, or better yet, the basic plot synopsis of what this show is. The universe has come together where aliens from many different planets coincide in peace. Bonbon Akasa was transferred to the Earth branch of SPD, Special Police Dekaranger, which is what SPD means in the show, in the city of Megaopolis by his commander. By that time, a major outbreak of crimes had broken out by a group of aliens known as the Alienizers. Agent Umbrella, an alienizer arms dealer, turns his destructive attention to Earth by helping the criminals there. It is up to the Dekarangers to stop them and bring them to justice. So right off the bat, the show, pretty much with the plot line itself, it hits the ground running. There's no specific... There is a main villain in the show, but there's not like, it has your typical monster of the day trope within the show. And each monster of the day is a different alien that commits like a different sort of crime within the show. But before I go into detail of just the main synopsis of the show and the characters, I want to talk about the theme song. The theme song is performed by Psychic Lover, and they performed other theme songs within Super Sentai like Shinkenger. And I love this theme. This theme song is so energetic. It's so pumped. It's powerful. It's amazing. Every time this intro kicks in when the Dekarangers are about to get into a fight, it's always an epic battle. And I love that. So just the intro alone is just powerful. And on top of that, Psychic Lover does a few insert songs within the show as well, like the main insert fight theme called Dekaranger Action, and also the SWAT mode theme, which I definitely recommend you guys should give a listen to. Both songs are fantastic. So let's talk about these suits. What I like about these suits, it's definitely the number designation on the suits, from the chest to the spots on the foreheads of the helmets. You could tell their number designation, and also they have their SPD badges on the left side of their chests of the suits. And what's something unique about Doggy Krueger's suit, the reason why he has the number 100 is because he's known, in his roll call, he says, slashing 100 evils. Hence why he has the number 100 on his suit. And of course, the dog ears are a great design for him as well. And only one I'm not really against, but just a little finicky about is Deka Swan's suit. I'm not entirely sure, what her number represents, or even just a symbol on her chest. It's just the only one that I'm not really sure about, but that's the only thing. It's not that big of a deal. All the suits are fantastic. So let's start talking about these characters. So our first ranger on the list is Bon, aka Deka Red. Bon is basically the hothead newcomer fireball of the team. He's kind of pretty much Fireball is his nickname. And what I love about Bon, he starts off being as, very gung-ho. He's very dedicated to his job. He always wants to be the best cop that he can be. That's one of the main reasons why he joined Dekaranger in the first place. So his tactics may be a little bit, brash, but starting off in the beginning. But as he progresses through the show, he starts to become, one with the team, especially being, the team leader as well. And right at the end of the show, Bon gets promoted from, being on the Earth branch of Dekaranger to Fire Squad. And what Fire Squad is an all red Dekaranger team. And it works because all the Red Rangers on Fire Squad are basically hotheads, and their suits are exactly the same, which is interesting. But it's a great, turnaround for Bond, because going from, the loudmouth, brash, gun-ho, gunslinger of the team, which he's a really great sharpshooter, but from going from a gunslinger to just immediately, promotion, amazing. And this kind of coincides with the next character I'm going to talk about, Hoji, who is Deca Blue. Deca Blue, aka Hoji. I said that twice. Hoji is, the perfectionist, by the book narrative stereotype for Dekaranger, or just a character trope in general. And he has a hardcore rivalry with Bond, because Bond always calls Hoji his partner. Hoji doesn't like to identify Bond as his partner, because especially since Bond is not always by the book, his tactics are a little bit different from Hoji. Hoji likes to be the perfectionist of the group. He likes to make things, are in tip-top shape from beginning all the way to the end, from top to bottom. But as the show progresses, he starts to notice Bond's tactics. He starts to realize that, everyone on the team has a different way of doing things. Every person on the team has something to contribute. And Hoji, being the perfectionist that he is an excellent marksman and sniper of the team. And as we get to the ending of the show, when things get really, really gruesome, especially when the alienizers take over the Deca base, he officially recognizes Bond as his partner, especially when he says, like, "Go get him, partner." And Bond just has the biggest smile on his face. It was such a beautiful moment to recognize. And I could definitely have to say Hoji is definitely up there as one of my favorite Sentai Blue Rangers. So the next character on the list is Senichi Inari, also known as Senchan. Senchan is the brains of the team. He's very quiet, but one thing you should know about Senchan, he's a very passionate individual. When you cross him and you wrong somebody, watch out, because you know what they say about don't underestimate the quiet ones. Senchan will really go from 0 to 100 real quick when somebody has been wronged. And I love that about his character. Not only that, because every time he goes into a thinking pose, the narrator always likes to mention this in the show. He goes into like a handstand where he starts thinking to, retrace their steps when it comes to a certain case. But Senchan is a really cool character. Underrated Green Ranger, if I might also add too, because he has a fair share of focus episodes and he makes a lot of good connections, especially with the people around him. Senchan is a really cool character. All right, next up is Marika Raymond, or also known as Jasmine. Jasmine, I feel she doesn't get that much focus, but she does contribute a lot to the team. Jasmine is known as an Esper. And what an Esper is, she is an alien. She's one of the few aliens on the team. She has the power to touch things with her hands. She's able to retrace an alienizer's location, where they were, retrace their memories. She's like a good interrogation tactic for her on the team. And one thing that's a little bit not really much known about her, especially with her origin story, we do know with her character that as a kid, she was bullied a lot for her powers. She was very outcasted a lot. And then as she got older, she witnessed one of her friends get killed off. Well, not killed, murdered by an alienizer. And that basically made her a witness to a crime. And when she was almost cornered by this alienizer, Doggy Krueger came to protect her, saved her, and he kind of took her in. So Jasmine was kind of like the first Dekaranger that Doggy recruited. And it's still a little bit of more, there's still a lot more that's missing from her, but in the end, she's still a great character. Her actress always comes back for a Dekaranger, and that's one of the, not even just for Dekaranger, for Super Sentai in general, and that's awesome. She's definitely up there as one of my favorite Yellow Rangers. And Jasmine's a really cool character as a whole. I just wish that we got a little bit more with her backstory as well. All right, next up is Deca Pink, who is Umiko. Umiko is really the goofball of the team. She likes to be known as the self-proclaimed leader of the team, especially when they're out on the battlefield. She's cute, she's funny, she's spunky, she's goofy. She's just an all-around good time, character. Especially when she gets paired off with Jasmine. These two are known as the twin cam angels. That's kind of like their self-proclaimed title for themselves. And it's really cool. Another thing is whenever there's like a focus episode for Jasmine or Umiko, they have a specific theme song called Girls in Trouble. And it's a very interesting song as well. Umiko is, again, she's hilarious, but she's always ready to get the job done. And she's very smart as well. And when she's paired off with Jasmine, it's such a great time when you see these two characters work together. They have a great dynamic duo, kind of characterizations to themselves. All right, on to the next character, Tetsu, aka Deca Break, the sixth ranger of the team. Now, Deca Break, Tetsu is known as a Tokuo. What I mean by that, Tokuos are a specific designation in Dekaranger. They have a specific job where they are trained differently from the regular cadets. And when Tetsu was brought into the show, he felt that the team pretty much, he was kind of stoic, almost a little bit like Hoji in a little bit. But when he sees that the Rangers have their own way of fighting bad guys and taking down the alienizers, he realizes, even though my tactic, I'm specific by the book with my department, he realizes that the team has their own way of doing things. And again, as the show progresses, he starts to, mesh well with the team. He even forms a very special bond with Bond. I said Bond. Now, the reason why I say that, because when Bond was going to be promoted to Fire Squad, Tetsu kind of relied on him a lot because he always called Bond senpai, or older sibling, or higher up, my, upperclassman. And Bond always counted on Tetsu to get the job done and everything. And he also relied on Tetsu to keep Dekaranger, keep the team in check when he leaves. And that's kind of one of the things why I love about the team's dynamic, is that especially with Bond and Tetsu, Jasmine and Umiko, or Bond and Hoji's dynamic, they all just flow so well as a team. And it's just a beautiful team dynamic from beginning all the way to the end. And one thing I can say about Tetsu, he has a stint whenever to try to do some undercover work. He has this stint of basically disguising himself as a woman. It's hilarious, it's ridiculous, and it makes for good comedy. That's really what I could say about that. Now, on to the next character, Doggy Krueger. What is there to be said about Doggy Krueger that hasn't been said? Doggy Krueger is a badass. He is so dope. And with him just being the commander of the Earth Branch, he's definitely I feel like he's like a father figure for the Rangers, especially within the final arc when the Deca base gets under attack. He really pushes the Rangers to if I don't make it, make sure you carry on the job and get the job done. And that's what I love about Doggy. Doggy he's such a masterful swordsman. He's always ready to get the job done. They don't call him the top dog, no pun intended, for nothing. Doggy Krueger is amazing from beginning all the way to the end. He's like one of the best Sentai mentors, especially mentors that are Rangers as well. Doggy's dope. He's just so dope in every which way. And the next character is Swan Shiratori, or just called Swan. Swan is the technical expert, or the genius gadgeter for Dekaranger. She creates all the gadgets, she creates the mechs, she creates all the weaponry for the team. And with her Ranger form, Deca Swan, here's a fun fact about that. It's basically she transforms every 4 years. So basically like, the Olympics. Every 4 years, she's allowed to transform. But even with her only being able to transform for just one episode, she's still a really good character. Especially she has a motherly aspect to the team. Just like how Doggy feels like the team's father, Swan is definitely the mother, the matriarch of Dekaranger. And her connection with Doggy and their bond that they have for each other It's really beautiful and it's very special, and I love that. And the last character to really talk about is our main villain, Agent Umbrella. This guy is really just a menace to society. For him to be an alien arms dealer, his crimes have basically been sent from all across the galaxy, from international wars and just, just the most despicable crimes ever. But you don't really find out that he's the main villain of the show within until like the middle point. But his presence alone of how the show sets him up to be the main baddie, especially with him, just selling robots and, foot soldiers to the enemy, or basically the monster of the week per episode. It's set up really, really well. And I really love how his final end game of having to take over the Deca base and use it to destroy the city was mind-blowing. And I was like, that's an evil plan. That's a job well done for a villain. That's really just wow. But again, his character is really dope. I would say he is, like I said, he's more sat into the background because he is the arms dealer of, before he gets revealed he's the main villain, but he's still a great villain character all in all, from beginning all the way to the end. Now, a few things I do want to mention, or I want to talk about. I definitely want to talk about Murphy, who is, the robotic dog companion. One thing I did not know about this, Murphy it's an Easter egg to RoboCop's real name, Murphy, which I never knew that when I was watching the show. But I thought that was a nice little nod to to some American pop culture. But all in all, Dekaranger is my rating for the show is raw. It's straight up raw. I love this show. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite Sentai shows, and it's still popular nearly 20 years later, because next year is its 20th anniversary at the time of this recording. But I love this show. It's raw. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite Super Sentai shows. And I had a blast rewatching it. And I definitely recommend this show to anybody. If you're a new Sentai fan or you're a current Sentai fan as well, I definitely recommend Dekaranger, especially if you love Power Rangers SPD. I think you will like this show a lot. Not to do like a comparison saying like, oh, Dekaranger is better than SPD, but if you really love SPD, I feel like you really would love Dekaranger. It's very episodic. It's very character driven. Each episode is a specific character focused episode on a specific ranger, and it's just really, really well done. So I loved it. So in the comment section below, if you watch Dekaranger, share your thoughts about Dekaranger, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. Don't forget to follow me on all the things on social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. I appreciate you guys for watching this review. Stay tuned for the next Super Sentai review, which is going to be Chojin Sentai Jetman. Starting next year, I'll be doing a whole lot of tokusatsu content, and I'm looking forward to doing these kind of things with you guys as well. Since you all asked for more tokusatsu and Super Sentai reviews, I'm going to be giving you just that. So look forward to those coming down the pipeline. Of course, I'm going to be doing more Dekaranger content as well. There's going to be a review for the Dekaranger summer movie and the team up with Power Ranger. That's going to be all condensed in one review. And of course, Dekaranger 10 years after, that's also going to get its own review video as well. And of course, whenever Dekaranger 20 years after gets released, I'll try to do a review for that movie as well too. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden.